I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. Episode 1, the first 30 seconds was the shit. This is a very special video because I've never really done this. I've done it with the first Heaven's Feel movie and the second Heaven's Feel movie, but never with an episodic anime series like this one. Fate Grand Order, Absolute Demonic Front, Babylonia, or Zettai Majuu Sensen Babylonia, as the Japanese people say it. I know episode 0 has been around for 2 months now, almost 2 months, but I just watched a special premiere that showed not only episode 0, but episode 1 and 2. Which was pretty short because episode 0 is like, 20 minutes. Episode 1, I expected it to be an hour long because I know the anime is supposed to be set up 21 episodes, and 2 of the episodes were supposed to be 1 hour, 1 hour each. So I expected episode 1 to be an hour, and it wasn't. It was only 20 minutes, not counting the opening and ending, which they actually didn't show. They actually cut that out of the episodes, which I was kind of sad about, but I could kind of understand. So watched episode 1, which is normal 20 minutes. Episode 2, 20 minutes as well. An hour total in the theater. Paid $12.50, which, to some of you guys that might not be worth it, but to me it was absolutely worth it. I'm glad I was able to see Babylonia early. I'm glad I was able to see it with a bunch of people. Like, the theater was packed, like the line was long, everybody was excited, everybody was happy, everybody was geared out with Gilgamesh gear, Fate gear. Everybody was ready, man. It was amazing. That's besides the point. I'm here to talk about my first impressions of Babylonia, how I think the animation is, how I think the story is, and so far, just the first 2 episodes, technically 3 if we're counting 0. So again, episode 0 has been around for 2 months, so I'm sure everybody has already talked about it, everybody has already seen it, blah, 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 so I won't spend too much time on episode 0, but the only things I really have to say about episode 0 is that it really sheds a lot of light on not only Majuu's backstory, but Dr. Roman's backstory, which I found really cool because we only have a general idea of what Dr. Roman's life was, and I don't want to spoil too much for people that, it's kind of weird if you're watching Babylonia and you don't know much about Dr. Roman at this point, but again, I'm just playing it safe, don't want to spoil too much, but it was just interesting seeing how his life was before joining Chaldea, and his interactions with Majuu especially was very interesting. Just a backstory, pretty much. Just a backstory of Majuu and Dr. Roman. So not too much going on in regards to Babylonia, but it was still a great episode. Great episode 0 for sure. But now we get into the meat of Babylonia, the meat of the story, episode 1 and 2. Now, episode 1, holy mother of God. Like, again, I know if you've read Babylonia in the Fate Grand Order video game, if you've read all the cutscenes and all that stuff, that's great. I'm glad you know the story. I'm glad you read the original source material. I did too. But there's something that they did in the first, 20 seconds, 30 seconds of episode 1. Literally the start of episode 1. I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. Episode 1, the first 30 seconds was the shit. I'm not even shitting with you. Now, the Cloverworks and the studio that is behind Babylonia, behind animating Babylonia, they have stated that they are going to add their own creative spin while still staying faithful to the original source material, which was shown. Episode 1 and 2, it didn't have too much things that was just out of whack, like, wait, that didn't happen in the game, wait, this is different. Like, not too many things were like that, but the first 30 seconds of episode 1 definitely did not happen in the game, and that might sound like a bad thing. Like, they started off on a note that was different. They started off with their own creative liberties, which, for the most part, like, for most anime, that would probably be a bad thing, a bad sign. But I think in this situation, it was the best decision they could have made. It hooked the viewers in. It definitely hooked, like, at least the people in my theater, and everybody was like, oh my god. Everybody was gasping. Everybody was going crazy. Like, everybody was hooked because of that scene at that point. And it was just, like, I don't want to say too much because it is a spoiler. Like, again, it did not happen in the game. They did not show this scene in the game at all. So it's kind of a spoiler. I don't want to say too much. Just know that it's my favorite part of the 3 episodes we were given so far. The first 30 seconds of episode 1 was my favorite. I was going crazy. So just look forward to that, guys. Just look forward to that once the episode's out. officially on not October 25th, October 5th, which is a week from now. So I'm excited to rewatch that. I really am. I'm gonna rewatch every episode at least 5,000 times. It's gonna be amazing. Besides that little tidbit at the beginning of episode 1, the only thing that they kind of took creative liberties with so far is definitely with Fujimaru, because as you guys know, Fujimaru or Gudao or Gudako, depending if you're playing male or female, is the main character of Fate Grand Order, the player that we're playing, and most of his or her dialogue is from us, like from the choices that we make. So like in the game itself, Gudao, Gudako, Fujimaru does not really talk. But here in Babylonia, obviously they're gonna have to make the character talk, because otherwise we don't want to mute main characters. So he has a lot of personality, a lot more dialogue for sure. So and a lot of comedic moments too. A lot of comedic moments with him and Merlin. Merlin shows up at the end of episode 1 and throughout episode 2. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler. If you've read through Babylonia, then you already know that he's gonna show up pretty early on. His interactions with Ishtar too was funny. There's just so many comedic moments, and I know every singularity had that sort of commonality with each other, that the sort of beginning to the middle part of each singularity is like mostly just comedic parts and just like, some tidbits of seriousness here and there, but for the most part it's just like characters having fun with each other, seeing the different chemistry between the main characters and these new servants, and just between the servants in general. So yeah, a lot of comedy, like a lot of laughing, especially with episode 2. Merlin is such a funny character, and I knew he always was, but damn, they really went full out with the comedy for him, at least so far with the first 2 episodes. So don't you think for a second that I forgot about the animation, because I know a lot of people are going to be talking about the animation, the character designs, and all that stuff, because I know there was one review that complained that the only thing that he or she found a problem with the anime so far is that a lot of the faces and a lot of the face designs, a lot of the character designs look the same. And I could kind of see what they mean. Like if you look at Dr. Roman's face and then you look at Merlin's face and you look at Marisberry's face, then they all kind of look the same as far as facial structure is concerned. But it didn't really pull me out of the experience at all. Like I noticed it, but it didn't ruin the experience for me. So if you were to nitpick, that's probably one of the few nitpicks you'll have with the anime. Now, another thing in regards to animation and visuals is the usage of CGI, and I know that's a pretty big thing nowadays with anime, because I know a lot of anime is implementing CGI into their animation. A lot of times it works, and a lot of other times it doesn't work. Like if you guys have ever seen Berserk 2016, yeah, just it was not a sight to behold for sure. The CGI just took you out of the experience. It just ruined a lot of the epic scenes. It just, like, I don't even know what to say. They didn't do a good job with that one. But I will say with Babylonia, I think they did a really good job. Like, you notice the CGI right away, but then it doesn't pull you out of the experience. That's the difference between the CGI used in Babylonia and the CGI used in other anime like Berserk. Whereas with Berserk, like, it just removes you from the experience and it just distracts you. It just ruins everything for you. With Babylonia, you notice it and you take note of it, but it doesn't ruin anything for you. Like, you're still engaged in the story, you're still engaged in the fighting, you're still engaged in everything. Now, let's just say it's not UFO table level of animation. It's not Unlimited Blade Works level of animation. It's not Fate Zero level of animation. So don't expect any crazy fight scenes or anything like that, at least so far with episode 1 and 2. But to me, the animation was clean. It was smooth. Just a tiny little thing with regards to the animation. When you guys get to the scene with Ishtar, and maybe some of you guys who've already seen episode 1 could back me up on this, there was something about the way Ishtar moved, the way she talked to Fujimaru and Majuu. It just looked so smooth. It looked so natural. Was it just me? When I saw that, I was like, wow, the animation's actually really nice right now. Like, you would think it would look, kind of so-so, especially since it wasn't really a fight scene or anything like that. It was literally just Ishtar ranting and talking shit, but it looked good. Like, that animation in particular, for some reason, that just stood out to me. I was like, wow, this looks really nice. So I think it goes without saying, I really enjoyed my experience. There's not too much to complain about. Music was great. They mainly just brought a bunch of the OST from Fate Grand Order, the game, into the anime, and they kind of remixed it a little bit, but for the most part it sounds pretty much the same, which I'm not too mad about. I'm kind of happy that they brought just the game sounds and not just put their own original music. I'm glad they just stayed faithful as they can, so pretty happy about that. Yeah. So far my first impressions have been great. It lived up to the hype. Again, the first like 20-30 seconds of episode 1 was absolutely insane. Again, everybody was gasping. Everybody was saying, "Oh my god." I was leaning forward. I was like, "What? Did they what is?" Like, I was legit going crazy. Like, you guys will have to see it, and I'm sure some of you guys will be like, I saw it and I didn't really react that much, and that's more power to you. But I'm just saying, pretty much 90% of the people in my theater was going ballistic. It was crazy. It was I'm too hyped. I'm too hyped right now. It's 10 p.m. I should be asleep. I have class tomorrow, but I'm just really hyped. It's been like 6 hours, 5 hours since I watched anime, and I'm still excited. I'm really excited to see this once it drops officially on October 5th, which I will rewatch episode 1, and of course I will rewatch episode 2. But then episode 3, if you know the cliffhanger that it leaves you with episode 2, Gilgamesh fight, then episode 3 is going to be lit. Episode 3 is going to be crazy. Oh my god. So excited. So excited. Okay. Alright, that's enough from me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you disliked it. Of course, comment down below. Let me know what you think about my little review. I've tried to stay as spoiler-free as possible. And if you guys have already seen episode 1 and 2, I think, of course, comment down below. Let me know what you think. And if you were in a theater watching it with a bunch of people as well, then let me know what you thought. Well, how was your experience and all that stuff. And yeah, I hope everybody had a good time and will have a good time with the 21 episodes we're going to have with King Gilgamesh and Merlin and Ishtar and the Three Goddess Alliance and just Fujimaru Mashi, just all these characters. I'm very excited, as you guys can tell. So, yeah, thumbs up from me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.